such affectionate acceptance.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
They were big. They were hitting hard too, man.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Broaden the areas of participation for women.
That sounds very stylish.
What is my problem?
What do you think?
Beat sitting home watching television?
Mana mana. Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope everyone is finally recovered from Thanksgiving. I took a little bit of a break, but a few days, 1 week's enough. So wanted to get back into streaming again. Missed you guys too much. So without further ado, I have a wonderful guest to bring on, a young protege. Very happy to have him on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring.
You've earned it.
Hello.
Hello. I really like that intro you have for your channel. It's very nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I tried to put something together that kind of encapsulated all of my eccentric tastes and whatnot. So yeah, I'll probably add to it, make it a little bit longer as time progresses. But right now, early days of streaming for me, I want to kind of get to the point.
I just want to apologize to everyone in the chat. I know I sound awful, but I'm trying.
No, I was talking to you behind in the green room here, and I just wanted to say thank you again for joining me. I know it always sucks when you're not feeling well, so I appreciate you making the effort and coming out and taking the time to talk about your latest campaign. So,
and thank you for having me on. You're one of the only 2 people that reached out and was like, "Let's do a stream." So that's very nice of you. Thanks.
Well, everyone else is just idiots.
They are. That's why I don't do many streams, to be honest.
Now, a little background information. I actually had followed your work for a while, and in terms of the Comicsgate comic stuff, and to be frank, there was a time I think where maybe some bridges were burned, putting it politely. And I was just like, yeah, forget it, that kid, whatever. But you know what? You turned me around. You kept your nose to the grindstone. And I have to say, your work ethic is second to none. I was just looking up how many books you have available on Amazon. And you won me over. And I think a big part of that was, you just kind of maybe taking a little bite of humble pie, like we all have to sometimes. And, you try to go one avenue that didn't necessarily work out, but, you want to just keep doing what you're doing, keep plugging away, keep creating art, and you're not letting anything stand in your way. And I really respect that.
Yeah, I seem to have a way of making people hate me, I guess.
Well, I think you just, you're no holds barred. I think you say what you think, which is, kind of
It's
not
autism.
It's not exactly common these days. If you don't like somebody, you'll kind of put it out there. They say, call a spade, as they say. But I respect it. What you show, what you present out there is you. You're not.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say when I hate somebody like Paulus Arts in the chat. I don't like that guy at all.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, just see him on here. Hey, Paulus Arts, thank you for joining us tonight. L. Ron Hubbard is lazy. Well, he did create an entire religion, right? Was that him?
Something like that.
Yeah,
it was him.
Not bad. Maybe you'll create a religion of your own someday, Nasser, and get an entire group of celebrities with too much money and too much time on their hands to follow you, but who knows? So yeah, let's go ahead and, well, first of all, for people who might not be familiar with you and your work, you seem to come from more of a horror story kind of background. So if you don't mind, can you talk about that for a little bit?
About, you mean like why I write horror, or?
Well, yeah, like what I guess first, what got you interested into writing or interested in writing? And then also specifically the horror genre.
Oh, well, it's everybody. I think they always, these stories are probably all fake and over exaggerated, but they always have the big idea or the big thing where they're like, I got the idea. I had the big moment. I never really had that moment. It was just something that happened when I started reading comic books. And I just had ideas when I was like about 16, I think. I started reading comic books.
So last year, right? No, I'm just kidding. But you are young. You are a young pro.
10 years ago, I started reading comic books, and I just had ideas, and I was just like, well, I don't know. Then I started writing when I was in college, so like a couple years later, I started writing, and it was just horror because that's just what interested me. I was never really into it much until like the end of high school, around the time I started reading comics. It was just something I found. I just started watching horror movies, and it all just kind of randomly came into place. I never thought about writing or about horror movies at all until at the end of high school.
Interesting. So did you start with the big two with the comics, or were you more into indies? What kind of got you into comics?
My first comic was X-Men #1, but then I'm more into underground comics and obscure comics and stuff. I don't care. I mean, I've read a lot of Marvel and DC stuff, but I don't care much for either of them.
I don't think they care much for their audience anyway. So yeah, they've kind of moved on and are doing their own wackadoo thing.
Yeah, I just can't take anyone serious who complains about it, to be honest, because it's like, first of all, they each have like 100 years of comics that are legit good.
Yeah.
But second of all, even the ones that are legit good, it's still you shouldn't expect much from them because these are characters that don't die. Nothing changes. I mean, they sure there's stuff that's interesting in there, but that's why I like really, really independent comics, because anything could happen, and it's not reboot after reboot, and nobody could die, or somebody dies and they come back to life by magic, and a few issues later. I don't like that stuff at all.
You're not really bound by, I guess, their grandfathered in rules and everything.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's just kind of, it gets predictable.
Yeah.
I could only read like, oh no, it's the end of the world, and now this guy's got to save the girl and save everybody, so many times.
So many times.
When he did it, like he did it in last year's event. They always have like the 4 to 12 issue miniseries event of the year, Marvel and DC, and it's like the same thing every time. Over and over and over.
Or the multiverse trope, that's how they can get around certain things. It's like we told you this character died, but psych, they're back in this particular universe. And I think it does kind of cheapen the stories and kind of lessen the impact of what they've done with it and characters. But okay, so you got into, I guess, the horror genre, but what was it? Was it horror comics that kind of got you interested? Was it horror movies? Did you discover
It was
something?
The Walking Dead, because my cousin showed me the show, and he told me it was based on a comic book, and he told me I should pick up the comic. He hadn't read it. He just knew from the opening credits or whatever, it says based on the comic book series. So I bought that, and I started reading Image Comics from there, and then branching out into anything that was kind of obscure or weird.
And did you start writing the novels first before you?
No, those all came because I didn't know how to make a comic book. Nobody would work with me. So I just started writing short stories, and they were awful. And you mentioned earlier, I have so many books on Amazon.
Yeah, I was just going to bring it up here.
That doesn't even count the 7 books, novels and short story collections that I published that I unpublished because they were awful. So that's not even all of them that are up there.
Let's see on here. I was just going through, and it's like, what was it, 34? I think it said total.
Maybe a few of those are collected editions, and I think there's about 3 books that are up for pre-order that aren't technically out yet. That 34 number might actually count the ones that are out of print now. It might. This
kind of blew me away. I was like, holy crap. I mean, you're really, you're a prolific writer. And I don't think people really give you enough credit for that. I mean, I knew you had
nothing better to do.
And I did see a little bit of, I know for a while you were posting pictures and kind of cool little gothic videos that you were creating. I really like that. It sort of seems like it's not that you're just into the writing aspect of horror, but kind of like all aspects, of the different crafts, the different medium you try
Yeah,
to
I
incorporate
don't
in it.
care about being a master at any of these things. I only care about having fun and doing
Yeah.
whatever I like. So I do everything. I write comics, I write novels, and I make short films when I can. I don't really have any uh, friends that would be in them, so I just kind of put myself in most of them. I do photography. I went to a
Yeah.
couple concerts this month and took pictures of the bands, and that's fun and it's different and a different way to express myself. So I do a bit of everything. I don't really care about being a master at anything, but um, it's just so easy to make a book, especially now with those covers are all AI generated. So
I saw
it,
that you mentioned that, and it's like, for what you're doing here, these are perfect. They grab your attention really quick, and you want people to focus on, the story inside. So yeah, I think using it as a tool in that regard, it's a really good idea.
yeah, it's great. And so I don't listen to anyone that complains about AI art.
I think
Anyone that,
I was just
oh,
going to
go
say,
ahead.
I think, with regards as using it as a tool, um, no matter what, I mean, that's the way of the future, right? That's how it's going to be. In terms of replacing artists, I don't think that will ever happen. I mean, unless of course Skynet boots up and starts eradicating all of us and starts living in its own reality. But I think there will always be a need for that human element of creativity, that spark of imagination that it seems like only humans can kind of come up with. But yeah, I mean, technology is progressing. I think it's getting better by leaps and bounds, month after month.
Yeah. Well, the world's
And
changing and you have to change with it.
you
There's so
do.
many people that are afraid of AI, but I think it could be a tool for anybody. For if you're a regular artist and you like to paint or you like to draw, there's so many ways AI could be a tool.
Yeah.
Pardon me, you could use AI to color your work. You could use AI to tweak things or just to bounce around ideas. You could ask it for feedback. You could do all sorts of stuff with it.
Right, exactly.
So
As a time saving kind of tool utility as well. I really think like you said, it's here whether we like it or not. We can embrace it or treat it like it's the plague, but I mean it's going to be used. So it's out there.
yes,
So
I
yeah,
really like it. I started even using it for my book blurbs now. So most of the descriptions, not a few of them, I still have to update because they have the ones that weren't written by AI. But the descriptions on most of my books now they're written by AI as well because it's very hard to write a good description and one that'll engage people. But if you ask Chat GPT or any of the others and you give it the book summary and you ask it to write a book blurb, it'll spit you out something that's pretty good. I kind of ask it to do it a few times over, and then I just pick and choose the best parts, and I make a book blurb. And that's I years ago I almost considered paying somebody to write a book blurb because somebody
hmm,
I saw an interview with this guy and he talks about all the books that he's written blurbs for and how he's seen sales go up for these books after he writes the blurb, and I really considered it, and then I was like, this kind of sounds like a scam, so I
yeah,
never hired this guy.
you have to
But
watch out for that stuff for sure.
but a good blurb is important because I've had some bad ones before, and people didn't like them. Because if somebody clicks on it, they're gonna want to know what it's about, and there's a whole science that goes into it. But writing it on your own is very difficult, but using AI makes it simple. So
And the blurb
it's very
aspect is
useful.
just what people would see as they're browsing through Amazon. Let me go through here.
Yeah, like if you click on one of them and read the description.
Let's look at Rough Cut.
Not the Christmas Morning Massacre, because that one's not one. But yeah, this
Okay.
one's one.
So, like when it's describing here, when rising Hollywood starlet Carolyn Ford disappears without a trace, screenwriter Dante Washington finds himself thrust into a sinister mystery that threatens to consume him. So, kiss your pests goodbye, and that's left in her. All that's left. I've been drinking. I'm sorry. All that's left in her apartment is a business card for Hollywood Pest Control, and nobody seems to remember anything about the night she vanished except for Dante. So yeah, I could see like you have what, just a sentence or few before, the person kind of gets bored and wants to go on to the next thing. So you need something that's going to be really gripping there and kind of pull them in.
Yeah. So that's made things, AI has just made things so great and easier than before. Because before AI, I had to pay so much money for covers, and you can't get, basically you could get no revisions for free. If you wanted someone to fix something, they would start giving you quotes on how much money, and sometimes they would just take the money and run, or you would have to harass them to get the art you paid for. And this cuts all of that out, so no headaches.
This one, the Engstrom House Collected Edition, this seemed like a series that was pretty popular here for you.
That is my most popular book. Book one, actually, not this collected edition, to be more specific. But yes, Engstrom House Book One is my most popular book.
Nice.
And it's one of my favorites. I think the second book in this trilogy might be my favorite.
And does that sum up the entire story?
It gives, this gives a little blurb of, each of the three books.
I gotcha. Okay, so when you sit down to, I guess, write a new story, what is your process? Tell me a little bit about that.
There is no process. It changes for every book or comic or anything. It's always different. It's never the same. Sometimes there might be an outline, and then I throw the whole thing away. Or there's an outline that is good and through the first half of the book, but then I have to re-outline it for the second half. Or there's just no outline at all. I just make it up as I go. Or I have 5 drafts, and then it becomes a Frankenstein. Like the second and third Engstrom books specifically, those were both Frankensteins because I had so many drafts that had a couple good chapters here or a couple good ones there. Or I wanted to go back to an element I might have cut out or something I cut out. So I just kind of Frankenstein them together. It always changes. There's no set anything. Even the outlines are never the same. Some of them are outlines where like it's not even an outline, it's just a list of things that'll happen at some point. And then when I need something to write, I just go through this list and I choose one. Some of them are order of events. It just depends how well I know the story before I start. I think if I've got like the first half of ideas written down, I could start and not get too stuck.
Yeah.
So I don't
does like an idea just hit you, like you're in the shower or, walking the dog or something like that, and you're like, wow, that might be
Yes, I don't know where they come from. They're just kind of random.
Just hits you like a bolt of lightning. Well, let's go ahead and I'm going to change the screen here. And I wanted to talk about what we're here for today. Bear with me 1 second here.
It's all good, buddy.
All right, there we are. No, I don't want that one. Yes, I want that one. And here we go. All right, so as I mentioned earlier today, I just reread book 1 of Creepsters. And I really, really enjoyed this. It kind of reminded me a little bit of several different stories, kind of little bit of Goonies with the whole treasure hunter aspect.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, a little bit of like the Gremlins or like the Ghoulies with the monster type, but then you kind of did your whole spin on it, and I really liked it. This was a pretty much a complete story. It left it open for book 2, obviously, but it didn't end on a cliffhanger. It's a really complete story here. Let me go ahead and see if I can share. Let's see, add camera here. And there we go. And add. Okay, let's see here. Yeah. So for those who might not be aware, this was Creepsters 1. Let me make this big. All right. Of course, it's backwards, but yeah, the art here, the guy that you got to do the art, who was, let's see, what was his name?
Neo.
Yeah, and Neo. Is he the same one that's doing book 2?
Yes. Yeah, same artist.
Yeah, I loved his style. Kind of had a little bit, and I'm not a manga person, but I kind of got a sense that this was like a manga kind of vibe here. And
yeah, he's very inspired by manga. He's a nice kid. He's from Brazil, and he pretty much only reads manga and some indie comics here and there. But yeah, he's a big manga guy.
Yeah, like the stuff he did, it was just like some of blurring some of the panels, the speed lines and everything. It made every page really interesting. Let's see if I can zoom out here. It made every page interesting to look at, and I really appreciated that. And everything was clear. This was just such a fun story, and I know your first one, this did pretty well. You even went as far as to come out with, let's see if I can put this up here, the little Chomper doll. He's the main kind of good guy creepster here.
Yes, and now we have a pizza toy for the second
Yes, yeah, I saw that. I was really impressed. And that's like another thing that really impressed me about what you do. You just very ambitious. A lot of people would be afraid to tackle something like this. But yeah, you just were like, I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. And I love this little plushy guy. Who came up with the design? Did you come up with the design for the character from the comic? And then,
yeah, all I said in the script was he's a red fur ball. And then I gave the description to John Dillard, and I asked him to design him. I asked him to design all the Creepsters, so John Dillard designed them all. I gave him a little description of each one. Like, well, this one's got big arms, or this one's got long teeth, but Chomper's a little fur ball. And so John Dillard did a bunch of little sketches of different potential designs. And this was the one exactly like I saw it in my head. So, yeah, we went with this one. And,
I love it because he has kind of like a dangerous look to him. And, obviously with the big teeth and the claws, you don't know what to think at first. But then with the design, with the big rounded eyes and the floppy ears and everything, there's an element that kind of, is disarming too. So you're like, oh, it's really cute. And it was one of those things I think I heard on a TED Talks that we're kind of wired to like things that are rounded. And I'm not even sure why, but somehow that's in our psyche where we find rounded designs appealing. So just thought that was kind of...
I'm not sure either, but yeah, it is very cute and very deadly at the same time. So
yeah.
I think Dillard did a great job with that design. It was exactly how I wanted it. And,
definitely. He kind of reminded me of Lilo and Stitch.
Yes, a lot of people have brought that up.
But it's still definitely unique. I don't know. I just like holding it. It's fun to play with.
Yes, he's very sweet.
How could you not love Chomper? Like, come on. And then it came in this, you had Super Asia Fun Toy.
Super Asia Fun Toy.
Do the design. design. We could show this on here, but yeah, it's this cool box where, the whole kind of handle with care. I'm sorry, the camera's flipped. I don't really want to mess
don't
with it
worry,
at the
it's so
moment,
good.
but your logo there. But yeah, I just thought that everything is so clever. It's very thoughtful. You put a lot of thought into it. I really appreciated it. But yeah, you put a lot of design or thought into the design and everything, and very fun, very fun. So let's bring up, saw a little bit of Creepsters 1 there too. So let's bring up Creepsters 2. I was sharing, but not on that. Let's see. Okay. All right. So this is the I guess, does it pick up immediately after Creepsters 1? I know we saw in Creepsters 1 our young,
like a month or two later.
Okay. The young hero, he ends up finding some, well, actually, Chomper ended up finding some treasure, and so life is kind of changed for him.
Yes, he becomes rich.
Yeah.
And popular and famous.
The dream, right? Who would not want that? So tell us about Creepsters 2.
Yes, Max and Chomper have to stop a mad scientist that wants to harness the power of the Moonstone. The Moonstone is what you guys saw in the beginning of book 1, that asteroid that brought the Creepsters to life.
Right.
Throughout book 1 and book 2, there's little fragments of it that are here and there all around the city, and they all cause chaos no matter where they are. But in the second book, there's a mad scientist that knows about the big one at the bottom of the ocean, and he's determined to get there and use it for evil. So in book 2, they have to stop him.
How long exactly was the I guess that asteroid and the eggs and all that? How long was that buried under the ocean there?
Well, I mean, the asteroid crash lands at the beginning of book 1, and so it's only been there a couple months by the time book 2 starts. The eggs, I didn't say where they came from. They're kind of floating on the ocean when the book starts, but the original beginning of the book was that they were buried underwater. And I had a sequence where a shark jams his head into a cave on accident and swallows up the nest, but it was too convoluted. I had too many, like, here, there, and then this, and this, and this. And so when I talked with my editor, we just made it simple. The eggs are on the water. The shark swallows it up, fights with the octopus. The asteroid stabs them both. And then the eggs drift down to the underwater vents, and they get hit with the radiation. We made it simpler instead of I had it just convoluted chases with the shark and stuff. So
I did like the shark in the beginning. So I guess kind of to clarify, the eggs, they're native to Earth, or?
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
like I said in the early draft, they were like buried. They were in a underwater cave, so they could have been anything from any time period anywhere. But we changed it so that they're floating on the surface at the start of the book. So I mean, they could have come from any time, anywhere. But yes, I guess they are native to Earth.
And I was a little bit confused, and that's on me. I'm sorry. Now I was trying to determine.
It's okay. You're a woman. They're always confused.
We can't help it. What can I say? It doesn't help that I add blonde to my hair either. So it looked like the Creepsters were kind of influenced by, creatures that happened to be around them. Was it when they hatched? Immediately when they hatched? Because some of them were, you had the one that was Whiskers, that kind of got influenced by the cat, and then you had Fish Sticks, that's kind of, I guess, influenced by, marine
really.
life.
I just needed random characteristics to set them apart. That's why in the script it just says Bruiser's got big arms, so he would be the big arm one. Fish Stick looks like a fish, so he's like the little Cthulhu one, and so on. I just needed him to look different. Spot, I just said this one Spot. He has a big spot, on his belly that's a different color.
And again, that was just kind of given the descriptions to Dillard, and he was able to create the designs. Yeah, they're
Yeah, I
really
just told them make them look different, make them look distinct.
yeah. But again, you kind of, you feel that they are I guess part of the same brood or whatever, but yeah, they each even though they're part of the same, they are each
Yeah, I
unique.
mean they're part of the same nest, but they could have come from anywhere. So they could have been eggs from multiple creatures. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Uh so is this something that, I mean, is this going to be like an ongoing series? I know you have book 2 here. Is this another kind of like complete story, but still
Yes,
we'll leave
it
it
is a
open in the
complete
future?
story. It is a complete story, but future books just depend if they make any money. We'll see.
Yeah. I know right now it's rough. I think it's been rough across the board for everyone in crowdfunding. Which is a shame, but yeah, the economy is not the best in the world. But I would really encourage anybody who's watching this now or on the replay, please give this a look. You definitely will not be disappointed. You get God, what was this, like 100 pages or something?
The first book's 86 pages. The second book's
86.
100.
Yeah, so I mean, bang per buck. This is a great value, great art. The story was really entertaining. I enjoyed it a lot. Um,
Thanks.
so yeah, would you say this was probably, I guess, so like with the violence and everything in there, it's not too over the top gory, but would you say this would be like 10, 11, 12 and up?
I guess so. I don't think even a 5-year-old would have a problem with it.
Yeah, I guess some
I
of the
gave
stuff
it-
these days, even with the decapitations, I think they're still maybe kind of cartoony or animated looking enough to where it shouldn't give kids too many
Yeah, when I
nightmares.
printed it, I gave it to my nephew when he was 5. So, and my sister was fine with it. So,
Good, good, yeah.
yeah,
But I think this is something that the younger kids can enjoy because you get the cuteness factor from the creepsters, but then the story too is an interesting and compelling story for adults. Um, yeah, I mean, I could see this up on a bookshelf in Barnes and Noble for sure, with any of the other,
thanks.
um, the graphic novels or manga that are up there. Yeah, again, some of the art. Let's see here. Scrolling through and I wasn't even sharing, dang nabbit. Boomer moment. All right, so we'll go back through here. So this is the main cover. You have 2 covers on Indiegogo, correct?
Yes,
And then
yes,
two
yes.
on